Monday night, it's RaceSpotTV. We are back once again with Monday Night Skippys. Welcome to the show, Rachel Whiteford and Lena Spurstrom. UK&I's behind the cameras. And tonight we have but 2 rounds remaining. Today, we are here at Canadian-Tire Motorsports Park, the phenomenal track for these Skip Barber race cars, and we're going to have a heck of a showdown. What is more important, though, is Antonides is back. Right now, qualified in second behind Bill Fraser. And you know what? He's got some help. You might notice the 09er Tom Ward is back on the grid. And he's back in more ways than one. Because we have breaking news for you tonight that he has joined Antonides at Thrustmaster Movano Motorsport. Linus, 2 former bitter rivals are joining forces. This feels like some sort of WWE setup right now.
Well, with the skill both of them have, it can only go one way, and that is very, very good. But seeing at the moment, Ward is only qualified in P9, so he's not going to be much help for Antonides today. And if anything, he's going to have to watch out so they don't end up taking each other out.
We know he's not the best qualifier. Sometimes he could definitely get himself further up. We'll have to see how that one plays out. But as the last moments qualifying do ebb away, we'll have to wait to see if anyone can improve those times. It's got to be said, though, Antonides and Ward have definitely had some conflict on the racetrack, so this will be interesting. And with Antonides back, how hard will he fight Bill Fraser, who's currently qualified on pole? That could be our telling tale, because if Fraser doesn't finish tonight, he's in dire trouble, not only from Antonides, but from Simon Edwards as well. Edwards himself, he's qualified in 5th place, and not his hottest qualifying either. Tonight could definitely be a very telling round. There'll be one final race after this one to decide the championship, this final championship of the 2018 campaign. It has been a long year, and Fraser's had some good luck, so has Antonides. Who will come out on top for this one? Will it be Fraser, Antonides, or Edwards? It is literally open to all 3 of those drivers as well. We're going to go to your qualifying grid. Bill Fraser puts it on top with a 1:32.208. Antonides comes home in 2nd place with Ben Daniels in 3rd. Simon and Povey in the 4th spot with Simon Edwards in 5th. Clay Hughes, Anthony Catt, Clark Williams, Tom Ward, and Gary Tall in 10th. Just outside the top 10 is Tall's teammate Paul Thurston in 11th place with Ronan Griffin in 12th. Daniel Cook, Matt Cox, Keith Sharp, Daryl Taylor, James McRitchie, Anthony Jones, Jack Hobbs, and Chris Bassett in 20th. Linus, you've got a big grid tonight. Over, well, about, I'd say, nearly 60 drivers we actually have lined up for this one. All of them qualified, only 52 have a set time. But that is a huge, huge grid. And we talk about our 1-second bracket. We're looking for a 33-2. And that is actually pretty far down this grid. We're talking 27th place for your 1-second bracket. This is going to be a very close race in tonight's 16-lap event. It's about as average as temperatures can go, really, for the iRacing service. We're looking at about 75 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, about 80-ish for the track. It's late afternoon with calm winds. We're looking for a very, very exciting race ahead of us.
We are, and this race never fails to provide some good racing, and especially with that very, very long back straightaway, there's some good drafting going on. So expect to see a lead group of about 10 to 15 cars a few laps into this one, and one mistake is going to cost you a lot. So stay in the right position coming to the last lap, and you could very well set yourself up for the win. You don't want to be leading onto that back straight though on the last lap.
Certainly not, and that's a very astute point there from Linus, that you don't want to be the last guy, or the first guy we should say, coming out of turn 5 at the very bottom of this lap, all the way up to the top, because this field right now is already at turn 8 of this, what is technically a 10-turn race course. It just makes it sound quite small. Mosport is nothing at all the like. This track is huge, and it definitely throws the drivers off. We'll have quite a few heading off at turn 2, the big dip down left-hander. But of course, it's all about speed here at Canadian-Tire Motorsports Park. And well, I don't think anyone will be saying sorry in this race. We're looking for some very hungry drivers, all desperate for those final points here this evening. Can his new teammate Tom Ward help for Antonides in this victory, or will Ward fight against his teammate, cost him points? We'll have to find out exactly who plays what card tonight, as Fraser takes that very top spot on the grid, ready to try and defend this title shot here. We saw the championship points, well, we'll show them again after the race, of course, but 271 points for Fraser, 256 for Edwards. That's 15 points difference. That is achievable. That is beatable, more importantly. But Bill Fraser can't win this race if he needs that chance. The engine's rev. Green flag waves. And it's a good start by your first few rows here as everyone single files out, ready for that turn 1 right-hander. Before the big drop into turn 2. Big dive over there by Povey, who takes a very wide line through to get some run on towards Ben Daniels. Keep an eye on Ward, he's coming already. He's just made a move with Clark Williams to the inside for turn 2. Tom Ward is wasting no time, Linus.
He certainly is not, and he's making that move down into turn 2, and that's the place where he definitely don't want to go wide. So whoever's on the outside there basically has to lift. As we have one car going in the grass of death, and he's going to hit the wall. So race over for someone already, but up at the front it's still the same through the first 6 or 7 cars.
This will be telling, of course, as we get to Mario Andretti straight away on the back stretch after this turn 5 double apex. 5A and 5B. 5A wide and inviting. 5B, this is a much tighter corner as we already have some conflict there. A little bit further back in your pack. A couple of cars heading off the racetrack there, a little bit right towards the back of your field, in fact. Rejoining in fairly safe order. Here we go, here's the big shuffle from your leaders. Antonides makes that move. Daniels looking to go as well. Look to the inside, couldn't make it work. Has to stay behind them. Maybe going to take it 3 wide at the middle here. He does slot alongside Fraser, but Antonides looks to have the opening. And Antonides clears him right there in turn number 7. And Ward is climbing the ladder yet again. He's passed Anthony Cat. Move him up 2 spots from the start of this race. Looks like Tom Ward will be a factor in tonight's event, as it is now Antonides leading Bill Fraser. Tom Ward is in the 8th spot.
He's doing a really good job. He's actually moving to 7th now, and he's not wasting any time. I bet he's going to make a move here pretty soon as well in the next car in line, which is Leah Hughes, but he's not going to get up the inside coming down the hill, so Ward staying in 7th. Fahim though opening up a little bit of a gap to Fraser, but that's definitely not going to be enough to break the draft coming down through 5A and 5B.
Most likely not. I mean, keep an eye here on Tom Ward. He's making himself known to Claire Hughes, lining him up there, ready for some sort of moves. He looks to the inside there on 4, down on the drop towards turn 5A. And he actually does chop his nose there into 5A, clears himself another spot as he nearly gets caught up there behind Simon Edwards. In that 5th place. That's how far he's come already. Yeah, he's challenging for 5th place. This will definitely make it an interesting competition as Fraser mirrors the action of Antonides last time round. Can Ben Daniels get a chance this time to get himself involved with these guys? Once again, there's no opening for Ben Daniels. Can't seem to find a chance. By the time they open the line, hasn't got any momentum there. Bill Fraser around the outside. It's exactly what Antonides did to him a lap ago. And retakes that leading position. This is what you said, Linus. Leading on that final lap. It's going to be race-ending suicide if you are in that position. But look at these guys. They are nose to tail all the way back to Cat in that 8th place at the moment. That is how long this lead pack is. And they are absolutely under an umbrella. Very few positions have changed so far. A couple of people are up 1 or 2 spots, but right now it's the likes, of course, of Ward who's made the most. 3 spots so far, and he's just going.
Yeah, he's not letting off. He just takes every chance he can get, and since he's not been in this series in a while, he's got nothing to lose either, so he can just throw it at everybody, and they'll basically have to back out because they're all fighting for a championship, and he's just going for the win. So he's got the upper hand in that position as he's lining up Edwards here, coming down through the dip, but he's not going to be quite close enough. Maybe he can beat him on the break in here, or he's just going to set him up for the long straightaway. That's
what worries me about Tom Wardliness. He isn't in the point standing. He has nothing to lose. But is he here to help his teammate Antonides win? Or is he here to win himself? And by doing so, costing his teammate a title shot? Whether they make contact or not. I mean, there's 2 ways he could play this. For him or for the team. And signing with Master Movano. Now 2 of those cars there is Povey. Looks to make a move on Ben Daniels. As does Antonides for first. It's going to be 2 by 2. Look at that pack heading into turn 7. And Povey holds around the outside there, and Daniels is going to sneak his way into P3 here at the switchback. Almost to second place. Big slide there by him. Didn't quite make it, but look who does dive. Tom Ward on.
Got a huge
Edwards.
crash further back in the field as well. Jack Hobbs is...
Oh, problems! Huge problems at the front. Contact. We'll have a look at the incident with Jack Hobbs. First, then we'll look at that second incident on the start-finish line, but some implications there as a couple of three-wide collisions, and I believe that was the likes of Leach, I think, and Keith Sharp, who had a conflict ahead of those three, slid on the racetrack and unfortunately were in the way. Nowhere for some drivers to go, but it was the incident we saw just there, and of course, with some of those leading drivers that really caused a problem here. One of them being Simon Povey, and we'll get you that replay now, because that is a very big moment for them. Povey just ends up completely sideways after coming out of turn 10 there. We'll show you that replay now, but wow, that is the sort of implication we didn't want to talk about at this stage. Him and Ben Daniels there across the start finish line. Daniels just pushes up his inside where there's no room to go, and the two of them get dragged off the racetrack, slamming hard into the outside barrier, and a miracle nobody else hit them, Linus.
Yeah, it's a bit like NASCAR Camping World Truck Series trying to finish coming through the walls, but yeah, that's they somehow managed to stay in the grass and no one hits him, and this has promoted Tom Ward up to 4th place at the same time as they're side by side for the lead again. But Fraser is yeah, Fraser's gonna retake the lead, and he's
oh, contact! Oh my god! These guys are going at it in some absolutely crazy fashion here as Edwards tags the back of Antonides there, sets him sideways. Antonides with a massive save. Unfortunately, Edwards gets backwards, sideways, and right round as Ward narrowly avoids hitting him.
I think Ward actually hit him a little bit.
I think he might have done. I mean, we'll have to take another look back at what exactly happened there. But again, a corner before that big incident with your leaders last time by. But yeah, Ward did hit it. Ward's gonna have front end damage there. He's lost his tip of his nose cone on that number 9. So that could definitely have speed implications for Ward. We'll have to see just how much it affects him. But look at this, Bill Fraser making a huge gap after the wobble by Antonides. That's created a draft gap for the number 13 Linus. That's exactly what he needed in this race. That draft gap is going to make sure he has enough room to stay ahead of Antonides and not allow him to catch up on the Andretti straightaway here. That is a race-winning opportunity for Bill Fraser. For him, Antonides now challenging to stay ahead of the likes of Hughes and Ward, because it's that draft difference we talk about that makes the big change on these racetracks. When you have no cars ahead of you, you've no one to pull you forward. When there's loads of guys behind you, they can all draft up and pass you, which is why being the leader on this backstretch sucks so much. You've got nothing to defend with. Now, with the gap so far to Bill Fraser, this means Antonides is going to have to race side by side with the likes of Hughes and Ward, which means they lose time by fighting side by side, and by proxy the gap to Fraser gets even bigger. So having that broken gap that Fraser's managed to magically achieve there from that incident, that could decide this race.
It could, and these guys behind him now, they really need to work together. Hughes should ultimately have passed Antonides there pretty early on the straight and drafted him down the straightaway, and then switch back on the next lap, but Fahim stayed ahead, and for this lap actually the gap stays the same, so but if they keep doing what they did on this lap, Fahim is definitely not going to have a chance to catch Fraser again.
Exactly, and that will be the big one, of course, the move you're talking about, Linus, the slingshot there, where you pass deliberately, you let them through, which means they're going faster than you are. You can then draft off them, and by net produce, you all go faster. It's a typical IndyCar trick, but these guys not quite as versed in that kind of racing, and you often see them fight for those positions because they want them to matter more than because they're thinking about the end of the race result. And that 1.2 second gap, it's outside that magical 1 second marker, and that's a huge help there. Of course, the likes of Bill Fraser, who is leading by 15 points. But more importantly, his nearest competitor, Simon Edwards, is out of this event. Well, not literally, but figuratively, he's in 40th place. He is outside of the points. There's all big problems just ahead of him there. I'm trying to work out exactly who that was involved in that incident. Trying to see some numbers, because the cars are kind of small and kind of battered. Very hard to see any number on these race cars. You can't actually pick anything out from that. I believe we've been told 40, the number 40. Michael Taylor is one of them. We'll get that replay for you there of what happened to those guys. That was right in front there, Simon Edwards. Would have been a big disaster, as It was on the run down out of turn 2. And I'm not getting anything back on my end, Linus. What are you seeing?
I'm not able to locate that incident either. I'm not actually sure what happened.
Maybe some technical problems there, not allowing us to see what happened in that previous incident. But we're going to go back to your leaders right now as the gap with Bill Fraser outside of that draft window. 1.4 seconds now. That is huge for him. Anthony Des back in second place. Fighting here with Hughes, who's very much in the draft window, and Tom Ward. So there's enough draft effect that Ward has got something to just hang on to at his fingertips here, but he isn't gaining on Bill, which means he's having to defend now against the guys behind him, as he's become the proxy leader of that pack and the draft victim in this way.
Yeah, it's not an ideal position to be in, but like before, they have to work together, and they're not doing that. As you see here, they're moving back and forth across the straightaway as well, so this is not helping Fahim at all to catch up to Fraser, and I'm not quite sure what they're playing at here, because they're not going to get anywhere near the leader, and maybe Laird Hughes just wants to finish second in this one.
It's that individual racer mentality. There might be some teammates out here, but unfortunately the narrow-minded view of the single-seater race car comes to mind here. Only one seat in my car, only one person in victory lane. Unfortunately, that mentality can sometimes cost drivers the ability to work together. They miss that opportunity as that gap stays kind of steady at 1.4-ish seconds there, 1.438 that time of the line. But that's a steady gap, Linus, which is really helping Fraser. This is giving him the opportunity he absolutely requires for this one. Clark Williams up in 6th place there, still in that second pack, as now they're, of course, bringing Gary Tolan there from 7th place. 14th place, big move there for Matt Cox. He's up a total right now of 6 spots. He's there in the 866 car. Got some other movers, Daniel Cook from 13th to 10th. Thurston stayed constant, 11th on the grid, 11th in the race. People have passed him. He's gained spots from people crashing out, but he's stayed around 11th place, so at least he's consistent. Biggest mover though, Chris Bassett, 20th to 12th. Huge for him there. And Barry West, 30th to 17th is a huge result for him as well. Keeble, 37th to 18th, absolutely massive. A lot of movement in the back of this pack, as we're showing only 41 cars on the lead lap out of 60 that have started this one. Attrition here at Mosport, Linus, absolutely huge.
It is, and speaking of big movers, I think the biggest one is Alan Chapman in the 59. Started 53rd, he's running in 20th place right now.
Wow.
And he's about to gain more spots. Go on.
Tom Ward here with Claire Hughes nearly rubbing wheels there into turn 7 as he makes his way up into the 3rd spot there, right behind his teammate. And this is where we'll see how they're going to race. Will teammates work together here to catch Bill Fraser? Is that what we're about to see? Because right now that's what Antonides needs, and we're going to see exactly what kind of racer Tom Ward is here. Is he Antonides' his teammate now? They're both in the same colours. Or is he still his competitor? And that will be the most important thing he's wondering in that race car there. The number 8 of Antonides has to be wondering, what Tom Ward have I got behind me?
The question is as well, does the little bit of damage Tom Ward has to the front of his car, is that going to kill him when he gets into clean air? Because if he moves out next to his teammate Antonides and the car just stalls, that's going to hurt both of them pretty much. So he might have to utilize the bump drafting here if they dare to do that.
Well, he's got a flat end on the front of his car now, so bump drafting might actually work, but is Tom Ward going to stay behind him and therefore boost his teammate? That would be another strategy, of course, to play. The gap has come down slightly, of course. It's now 1.422, so they've pulled back about 0.14 of a second. And here we'll see what Tom Ward's going to do. Is he going to try and draft onto his teammate and pass? Or with the damage, will he just be able to stay in line and maintain this group and hold it in check for them to catch up?
Like he's even going to be able to catch up to the back of Fahim actually until the very end of the straight.
Yeah, exactly. And will he go for a pass, or will he stay there, hold on to his teammate? We'll have to see next time by. I think this wasn't perhaps the most telling lap with the gap they had, but this is helping. Antony does expect that gap to Bill Fraser to be down this time by, because with him staying behind him, the damage might be the magic thing here. It might be beyond Tom Ward's control as to whether he wants to pass him or not. He may have no choice to stay in line, and by doing so, that's holding that block of cars together. No one can make a pass. The time's going to come down, and it has. It's 1.251 seconds now. The gap is reeling into Bill Fraser. We have 6 laps to go. Can they get back to him? And is he going to fall victim to sheer luck?
This is got to be so frustrating for Fahim, though. He can see that car literally just right in front of him. He can feel the air from it possibly, but he just can't get that bit of draft that he needs. But if he can just be faster around the corners here, he's going to get close enough and get that draft eventually. He's got 6 laps to catch up, and as long as no one makes a move from behind, I think it might actually look like he's going to do it, because he's closing in more and more for every lap, especially around here. He's almost on his rear wing by the looks of it.
Yeah, absolutely is. And we'll have to see whether he can do that or not. We'll see again this time by what Tom Ward will do. Good exit from 5B there. Moss Corner at the bottom of this lap. It's the name for the two halves of 5A and B. Hughes goes to the outside. Really hasn't got enough of a draft to make anything happen there, so he has to really stay in his position right now. Realizes that, and perhaps realizing that the outside of this line is not the best line. It's one of those weird corners, Linus, where the big curving straight, it's actually shallower gradient on the inside there, which means you actually go faster by sticking fully to the inside rather than taking a racing line, and that gap is down to Antonides. Is it within that magical second now? It looks to be so. Look at the gap, how much has come down by cars not passing each other. This is the effect of, well, teamwork by circumstance more than teamwork by design, as it's 0.69 of a second.
For him, he gained quite a lot at the end of that straight, so now he's within punching range here, and next lap he's going to catch right up, and then in 2 laps I think he's going to make a move. Or is he going to just stay behind Bill Fraser and pass him on the last lap? That is the big question here, because that is why he also wants Tom Ward behind him. He knows, hopefully for him, that Tom Ward is not going to make a move on him, and he can sit back behind Bill Fraser and just wait. However, if Ward wants to win, that's not possible, so it's anyone's game at the minute. It's up to Ward what's going to happen here by the looks of it.
I don't think Ward really has a say in this conversation, but I think if he did, he'd have to realise there's new teammates with him. He can't come into a series where he's not in the points fight and basically ruin the title shot of his teammate on his first race into a new series in those colours. That would be team suicide by Tom Ward to make a move like that. I mean, is it something he might do? Possibly, but
here comes Clear Hughes, though.
Unfortunately, he may not have a chance, because Clear Hughes going to be faster with a undamaged race car. That nose cone missing on Tom Ward's car looks to have actually cost him at this point, and that could definitely be very interesting. As look at this, Bill Fraser and Fahim Antonides are back together again after so many laps separated from that incident we saw there with Edwards and Antonides coming out, or into, I should say, turn number 10, the final corner there, and they're back. This race is back on again. Lap number 11 on to lap 12 here. We're going to have 4 laps remaining now in this race, and the battle is back on. The war has been cancelled. We're back to peacetime. Or is that backwards? I think that's backwards. Peacetime's over, we're back to war. That makes more sense. Gary Tall, of course, back in the 7th spot, up 3 spots in a moment. Matt Cox still up 6, hasn't gained any ground right now. Still in 8th place there, sitting in that 2nd pack. It's really kind of static for a lot of these guys. The draft being such an equaliser, Linus, we've not really seen much variation in that one, but it's this front group that really has had the shift. Look at this, another possible move here by Cat on Tom Ward. Is Tom Ward's car just, is it sucking in too much air at the front? Is it just costing him momentum now? Could he even help his teammate if he wanted to? Clear Hughes could be the spanner in a wrench here that could cost Antonides this. If Ward had stayed in 3rd place, this might have been huge for him.
Yeah, that would have really helped Antonides, but it looks like Ward is really struggling here, and he's trying whatever he can to stay in the draft and get up there, but Clear Hughes, he doesn't really look like he wants to pass Antonides as well, because he moved out of the drafter at the beginning of the straight, and you can see he's staying well out of line as if he does not want to catch up to Fahim. So Fahim doesn't draft off Fraser either, so Fraser is a sitting duck right now.
Well, it's not that, it's Bill Fraser pulling the IndyCar snake shuffle all the way down the Andretti straight there, aptly named after an IndyCar driver, of course, that breaking that draft, moving on purpose to try and break that toe to the car behind him. A classic IndyCar series move there on a straight named after an IndyCar driver, so very appropriate from the young Scottish driver there, as Antonides right on the gearbox now of Bill Fraser on lap number 13. We'll have 13, 14, 15 and 16 to go. That is only 3.5 laps at this point they've got to try and decide this, and that's 3.5 passes. If Antonides can get there, he has been hanging back, at least the last time by. He was close enough to make a shot at this, but just didn't seem to have the oomph, Linus. Is Bill Fraser just unlocked something here, or has he just got the confidence to keep that car moving?
I don't really know what it is, but it doesn't seem like the draft is working quite as much as it used to either. I don't have to change the wing or something on these cars.
It's Tom Ward's damage holding the entire pack back.
Maybe it is, but something is a little bit different than usual. As Ward gets a good exit here, he's going to have a bit of a gap down to Cat behind him. So front two cars are going to get to battle it out again. Fahim, he's getting slightly closer to Fraser, and Liu behind is pulling out of the draft again.
Here we go.
Here he comes.
Actually, that's the outside. This could be an opportunity for Fahim here. If he could hold the outside line, which he might well do there. He's got him in turn 7. Fahim back to the lead of the race. Bill
and Ward back into third.
Yeah, Tom Ward back into third place. So it's a Movano sandwich now on the Scottish driver. That could be a big threat now, as if Tom Ward can battle and hold up Bill Fraser. That's exactly what Antonides needs for this one. Is a bit of a rough corner there by Bill Fraser, trying his best to just keep Tom Ward at bay. Put the pressure on Fahim Antonides there. The pressure mounts as Bill Fraser gets up the inside there. Looking at turn 2. Not going to take the shot. Just holds it back in line.
Ward slightly clipped the grass there coming into the second turn, but he managed to hold it, thankfully. So we're still on.
We just about are, as this top pack is so exciting right now. 39 cars on your lead lap, and that number is dropping every time by now. The attrition in this race has been monstrous, and we've had a phenomenal run with it itself. Only 3 cars didn't start. Nick McCarron, Colin McGrees, and Max Wright in this one. Is nearly contact there with Fraser and Antonides there. Ward as well nearly getting involved, as Bill Fraser has a shot here on Antonides. His car's looked fast. This could be his chance. He's right up on the gearbox now. Should be a textbook pass for him as he goes to the outside nice and early, and it's bringing the teammate with him. We'll see now, is Tom Ward on Team Fahim or Team Me? Looks to be Team Me as he goes to the outside. 3-way now. Tom Ward with the shocker here. Is he about to fight his teammate for the win of a race he is fighting for the championship in? That would be a shocker if that's the case. He gets past him. Well, I never, Linus. It looks like the old the wrestling comparison we pulled earlier on of a unlikely tag team there has come true as a betrayal on the racetrack.
Well, we've still got 2 laps to go, so a lot of things can still happen, but Fraser is up in the lead and Fahim's down in third. Tom Ward looks like he's got a point to prove here.
And a slow driver in second who might not be able to draft.
That too, that damage could really hold him up, and if that backs Fahim up, he might have just handed the win back. Well, Fraser could have taken the win back by passing him and bringing Ward with him, but we'll see what happens here as they come down towards turn 4 and then 5A, 5B and on to the straightaway again.
Absolutely, and this is the tension, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely palpable here. This is a huge opportunity right now, and I don't think I can call this one at this stage.
Here
I realise I'm meant to, as no, Tom Ward tried to have a look down Fraser. We'll see what the draft effect is like on that broken nose of his race car. Can he pull up towards Fraser as well as Antonides could, or did he take an opportunity in a 3-wide situation and get past his teammate? Is he going to cost him that spot? Here he goes to the inside. An unusual challenge here going up the inside of Fraser is Tom Ward. But it's quite an early pass, and there could be opportunity for his teammate Fahim now as he's holding him wide. I think I see what he's doing now. It's a team move. Ward in the middle. Fraser on the outside, overlapping, might still hold this position here. Has the inside line for 9, but it's going to be holding the inside for 10 for his teammate Fahim. Tom Ward has been holding that door for his teammate. Now I see what he was doing. It was not the betrayal we thought it was. It's a very big strategic play as Tom Ward now playing blocker.
Fraser still around the outside. He's going to be able to hold it here and might be able to pull into second place still, and that could give him the upper hand coming onto the back straight away for the last time, as we see passing going on behind as well. That's going to be 2. Oh, contact!
Clear Hughes and Clark Williams contact through turn 2. We'll show you that one after the race, but oh my god, comes up off the grass, clips the front wheel of Clear and takes him clear off the racetrack. That's terrible. I don't care at this stage of the races. Here we go. Fahim Antonides in first, Fraser in second. Opportunity has to be on Bill Fraser right now to take this one. He's not leading coming into that final run in the straight. We talked about that, Linus. That is huge. Big dive bomb by Tom Ward. He's going to back him up. Deliberate move here by a teammate, not in the points. This could cause some friction as here he comes. Bill Fraser still has the opportunity for the draft right now as Tom Ward's block was dodged rather artistically there by the Scottish driver. Look at that suck up now. He's going to go for it. Oh, Tom Ward couldn't box him in. The team effort right now by Tom Ward is absolutely monstrous. Look at this, Movano 2 wide, either side of Bill Fraser. The independent driver has the overlap. Oh my God! Nearly contact between the Movano drivers as Bill Fraser is just ahead there. He dodged the snapping dogs of Movano Racing there. The attempted blocks by Tom Ward to help his teammate did not work. Bill Fraser will come across the line to win round number 11 of Monday Night Skippies. That was fantastic.
That was an absolute cracker of a race, and wow, I didn't think Fraser was going to be able to do that, but he managed to hold on, and wow.
That was amazing. What a race there by Bill Fraser. I've got to say, Linus, we thought we saw a betrayal there by Tom Ward, that he was going to fight his teammate, but it became clear in that final lap he was in position to block. He was going to be the guy in the way to try and hold off Bill Fraser. He was going to be used as a pick, and he tried. And it was in 5A and 5B on that lap 16. He really threw it in there, an unwinnable dive bomb, something to get in the way, to slow down Bill Fraser, to stop him having that draft opportunity. And he nearly tried to box him in a second time, but that was phenomenal racing.
Yeah, Fraser shows why he is a champion of this series, and it looks like he's going to be it once again this year, but we've got Bathurst coming up after this, and that can go either way, and with Ward being in there as well, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, the gap in points might be enough now, but we'll have to find out next week, of course, at Bathurst. But first, your post-race results. Bill Fraser comes home with a win after an absolute cracker of a round here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Freeman Snyder's in second, teammate Tom Ward in third place. Anthony Catt in fourth, Gary Tour with a fantastic fifth place there, Matt Cox and Daniel Cook in seventh, Ronan Griffin from 12th to 8th place, Paul Thurston inside the top 10 in 9th, with Claire Hughes holding on for 10th place, Clark Williams, Chris Bassett, Dave Kirkman, Nick Sigley, Chris Morris, Adrian Hendy, Alan Chapman, Barry West in 18th place, with Jonathan Sheen and Robert Plumley in 20th. Rest of those results up on your screen. I'm breathless still, Linus. That was amazing racing that we see from these guys, and if we get to have something even half as good next week on the mountain at Bathurst, that is going to be unmissable, folks. If you are still around, come back same time next week. We'd have our interview still, of course, tonight, but you don't want to miss next week. Linus, Bathurst, with these guys in this form, that is going to be an absolute showstopper.
It's going to be mental, and I mean, one little mistake by someone can cause the whole field to crash out as well, but I'm expecting that to be maybe not quite as good as this, but it's going to be a very, very good season finale, so you don't want to miss that, because it's going to be some action to speak of for a while.
It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I personally cannot wait to see what goes down next week, as it looks like we might maybe get a chance to talk to some of the drivers in this post-race opportunity, but I did say we'd just quickly have a quick look back at what happened on that final lap there with, of course, Clark Williams and Claire Hughes. That was in turn number 2. Hopefully we'll get a chance to actually take a look at that one now before we get to those interviews, and you'll see exactly what actually happened between those two, because it was a little bit of a bobble. We saw Tom Ward get into the same position again on the grass, Linus. As you can see there, he just gets on that apron and it pushes him out, and his back wheel just catches the front of Hughes, and they're both heading now for Death Valley.
Yeah, he just slightly clipped grass, clipped his left front wheel, and he slid into the grass. Thankfully, none of them hit the wall, so they were both able to continue, which is good. Clark Williams managed to finish in the 11th place, so Leah Hughes in 10th, so they didn't lose out too much on that, though they would have maybe had a little bit of a chance of a win if that hadn't happened, but you know, it's at the end of the season, you have to really go for it, and it's just a little mistake costing them a few positions, so could have been a lot worse, could have been a lot better, but
it certainly does. We've got Dave Kirkman here, who came in from 28th place to 13th. That is a huge climb for you, Dave. Cracking racing today.
Yeah, I seem to be making a habit of qualifying really badly and then managing to avoid all the carnage and working my way up. So my position, I think, is a bit flattered today by the fact that everyone crashed off in front of me. Although towards the end I was setting quite good lap times, better than my qualifying, so I should really be doing more practice than I am, and I'll probably be a bit further up the grid.
Well, there you go, fantastic positioning. Anybody like to give a shout out to?
Not really, no.
Okay, well, Dave Kirkman racing for Dave Kirkman, coming home today in 13th place. And next up, we have a bunch of bananas to talk to, as usual here on Monday Night Skippies. We've got Paul Thurston, Gary Tall, and Barry West in the house, and we'll go first to Gary Tall, who finished 5th today. Top 5 result for you, Gary. A cracking race, but also an accident-filled race in that top 10.
Yeah, there was a few, wasn't there? I mean, I qualified 10th, and I think there was there two lots of 2 cars going out?
At least.
What? Yeah. Don't say that, Rachel, otherwise I must have dropped further back, and I don't think I did. But no.
Hey, you dodged them, which matters. That counts.
Yeah, I did. What a race, though. I mean, top 5 separated by 0.9 of a second at the end. So yeah, it was good fun. It really was good fun. I did feel sorry for Clark at the end because I think he's crashed out on the first lap a couple of times recently. Once was my fault, and to get nearly to the end and then have that contact was a shame.
A quick comment from you, of course, on that top 5 racing action. You were there, you saw it all at the end. What did you see going on there with Tom Ward, Anthony Dares and Fraser?
To be honest, not a lot, because I was concentrating so much on trying to get latched on to either Clark or Anthony. I was a bit slow out of Moss, so I was desperately having to get into the slipstream. So I was concentrating, Rachel. I didn't really see a lot. I mean, I could tell that we were close to them, but no, just didn't see much. Sorry. Fair
enough. Anybody I'd like to give a shout out to or thank for the race?
Well, Mr. Thurston, he was a good wingman at the beginning of the race. There's lots of people, you know. It's a really good community, so it's just fun to race each week.
Fantastic, of course. And well, Linus is now standing by with the T-boy upgraded to the wingman, Paul Thurston.
Paul Thurston, that was a very eventful race for a lot of people. You started 11th, managed to get in the top 10 at the end there with that little incident, fighting Leah Hughes all the way to the line, but well done on that. And how was your race?
Frustrating actually, because as Gary said, I'm qualified just behind him, like a tenth behind him, and we were following each other nicely through. It was a great little battle in there. I was in 8th, he was in 7th, I think. But then I got this massive screen freeze for like well, it seemed like half an hour, but it was probably about 2 or 3 seconds or so, and just I couldn't see a thing. I kept my foot in because if you don't do that, basically someone's going to pile into you behind. Then it came back, and it came back. When it came back, I was about 4 or 5 seconds behind that pack. So the software just decided to teleport me about 5 seconds back. And so I was out of the draft, and they were pulling away from me because they were doing 31.9s with the draft, and I was driving my tail off. I really was, and I was driving qualifying laps. I was doing 32.5s consistently, 32.5, 36 every single lap, and they were still pulling away. But then Clark and Cleo went off. Unfortunately, obviously, but fortunately for me, Clark I went by. But then, as you say, Cleo, I managed to just position myself nicely out of Moss, and in that situation when you're that close, it's rats in a barrel, really. I just managed to get enough of a gap in front of him coming into the right-hander that he couldn't have a go. And yeah, so I was pleased at the end. It was great. It was worth all the. If I hadn't actually been doing those quali laps all the time, I wouldn't have been in that position. So that pleased me at the end, but it was frustrating otherwise because I could have been where Gary was.
Yeah, well, unfortunate for you there, but still lucky that it didn't turn out worse than it did.
Yeah, anyway, it could have ended up in the middle of a car, yeah, but luckily it was okay.
Exactly, yeah. Anyway, congrats on the top 10, and we'll see you at Bathurst next week for the final.
Indeed, thank you. See you, Lynn.
Well, finally, we've got Barry West from the Bananas before we move on to Antonides, of course, who's joined us tonight. But Barry, 30th to 18th, up 12 spots. Another top 20 result from you in a good race. I think we have a Barry. We might be missing a Barry.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we have got a Barry. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's quite a lonely race, really. I've started off, didn't lose any places. I think Patrick got me, and then on about lap 2, there was 3 of us going into the after back straight. Simon Maltby, and there was three abreast, and I was on the inside, fortunately, and I squeezed through. And then I don't know what happened. I was all by myself, and a very lonely race until the end when Alan Chapman brought me up. We had a good little ding dong, but he just got past the end, and I couldn't get him on the last lap. But, yeah, I was well pleased with that. Good result.
Cracking one there. Anybody else you'd like to say thank you to for this?
Well, just the team. I mean, look at the points we're getting in. Well done, the team, and well done you for broadcasting. It's good to watch.
Absolutely, Banana's performing phenomenally this season. Definitely the year of the banana, perhaps, in 2019. We'll have to see. But moving on now, we'll have a quick chat to Fahim Anthony Does. Came in second place from second on the grid. Fahim, we had some questions before this race started, with your newly announced teammate Tom Ward returning to the series and also to the Thrustmaster Bavano fold. We had some questions. We wondered if this was going to be the team up between two drivers who've been historically rivals, whether Tom would race for his own result in this one and battle for a win, costing you points, or would he work with you and help you? And I think that unfolded in the last laps where we saw some very interesting teamwork happening as you two tried to play Dick Dastardly right there at the end. What happened? It's unfortunate. We can't seem to hear Fahim. Unfortunately, his microphone, I think he's muted, which should be really unfortunate. As, maybe we got you now, Fahim? Say something? Anything? No, we're not hearing for him, so we'll try and get him back for you in just a moment. We are being told, by the way, Bathurst is not the final round. We are a round back because they had to miss a week because of the iRacing updates. They are at Sonoma next week, and we're at Bathurst the week after in week 13. Sorry, no, we're at Bathurst next week. Sonoma in week 13 is the final round. So there's still 2 laps to go. Do we have Fahim Anthony Does?
No. Can you hear me?
No, we don't have him. We haven't got him at all. There he is. We can hear you now. Answer the question.
Oh, good. Sorry about that. Yeah, look, one thing I've learned anyway is that there's no team orders in Thrustmaster Movano at all. Whenever I race on track with Enzo Cantor, he just wants to rip my throat out, and it was no different today with Tom Ward. He knows that I'm fighting for a championship. It looked like there was some
teamwork there. It definitely looked like there was some sort of plan with you guys, though.
It does look like that. But then you see, with a new Skippy, the draft isn't as strong as it used to be, and it's a question of if there's 3 of you going into the S's. Or going up the straight, you can easily get shuffled all the way down quite easily, as you saw in the last lap. In the last lap, I was in the lead, and Tom shuffled me back down to third, and then I managed to get past him again in the SS. So it's really tricky now. It's not like it used to be. And but then where it went wrong for me in the race was I got a little tap from Simon Edwards. I think I might have blinked in and out, and he wasn't able to spot exactly where I was, and that gave me a proper wobble tank slapper, and that left me a good almost 2 seconds behind Bill. And he and I are very similarly paced, so I really had to dig deep and do lap after lap as qualifying laps to try and draw him back in, and thankfully I got back into the draft. But then when you've got 3 people racing, anything can happen, and any one of us could have ended up with a winner. It happened to be Bill, who obviously deserved it. He got the pole and managed to hold it together.
Well, a fantastic result from you regardless. Second place here, 2 rounds to go. It's going to be tight. Do you think you can do it?
I don't know. I mean, I'll look at the maths. The way I figure it at the moment, there's if I win the next 2 and Bill comes second, then I'll be 10. Obviously, I'll have 10 points over him in the next 2 races. I think currently he's 10 points ahead. So we're probably going to. So what happens if we both score the same points? Is it the one with the most poles or wins?
I think I'll have to ask Alan Patterson now. We'll have to find out from the series organizer, which of course we can find that out next week. But Fahim, some final thoughts from you? 2 rounds, tracks
I think I'm going to have to send I think I like the next 2 tracks, but I'll have to ask Alan. You're right. Maybe I'll have to do a big donation towards the league. Hopefully that will sort things out.
I remember how this works. I remember Cakegate that time at Bathurst. So
Cakegate.
Yes. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, Fahim. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before the end of this?
Yeah, to Tom Ward. Welcome to Team Movano, Thrustmaster Movano, and obviously we hope to get some more good drivers in the Skippy section of the team. Let's see how it goes.
There you go. Female tonight is coming on today in second place. I've been Rachel Whiteford. I've been joined by Linus Brostrom. Hugo Louise is always on the cameras. You can join us same time next week at, of course, Bathurst for round 11 of the series. And you heard it here first. No team orders in Thrustmaster Bavano. Catch us again next time. Good night.